Okay. Good morning. My name is Melissa Niles. I am the Urban Agricultural Liaison for the South Dakota Specialty Producers Association. Thank you for joining us for Getting Started in the Egg Business with Gene Stegman. This webinar has been funded through a conservation collaboration agreement between the Natural Resource Conservation Service and the South Dakota Specialty Producers Association to promote agriculture practices and environmental stewardship. Its contents are solely the responsibility of the authors and do not necessarily represent the views of the USDA. Good morning, Gene.
Morning.
So how are you affiliated with egg production?
Okay. So part of our role within Department of Ag Natural Resources is that we do the licensing for dairy or for egg dealers and candler graders in the state of South Dakota.
Very cool. Could you explain some of how to get involved in egg production and what kind of permits you need and what the process is?
Sure. So what we do is we have a egg licensing packet that we would mail out as you contact our office. In that packet, there's the rule book that's got all the regulations for selling eggs in the state and candling grading. And in that packet is also an open book test. So you would kind of like going back to high school, except this is an open book test. You would look up the answers on the test in the egg rule book. And that just helps educate and familiarize the producer with what's required. Once you complete that test, then you give us a call back. We set up a time to come out and meet, go over the test, answer questions, go through the candling process to show you what we would want you to do for candling. And then we collect the paperwork at that time. So that's kind of our process to get someone up and licensed in the state. Once they are licensed, then each year it's just a renewal. We send out a renewal notice. You complete the application renewal, submit it with your fee, and your license is extended for the following year.
So does everybody need a permit or is it just a certain size of operation?
So good question. We permit folks that have 5, 10 chickens all the way up to a couple hundred. What the defining criteria is if you are selling retail, and that would be defined as a farmer's market, food service, restaurant, cafe, grocery store, convenience store, anything like that, then we require the license. We do, and we know we have a lot of producers out there that have a few chickens for themselves. They have some excess eggs that they, give to neighbors, or neighbors come and purchase, or they take them to church and sell them. Those things, we are not licensing those individuals. It would just be the ones that are in retail, food service, or farmers markets.
Very good to know. Do we have any questions from the audience about the permits required, the length? When you come out and do inspection, is it just to make sure that you're knowing how to grade the eggs and candle the eggs? It's not
Right,
like,
yep.
okay.
So a lot of times we get questions, well, do you inspect our chicken coop or housing of our chickens? And no, we don't look at that. Uh, what we do is from the time you gather the eggs and bring them in to uh, pack them, candle them, pack them, that's where we inspect. So we receive questions, well, do I need a special area, a special room? Um, a lot of producers will use their kitchen. Some have like a downstairs in the basement, a little washroom or something next to laundry that's fine. We're basically looking for a place that you can candle the eggs. And a lot of times, if it's in a little bit of a darker room or a place where you can pull the blinds, that provides better visibility for candling. And then also the storage, just the refrigerator and where the eggs would be stored and kept cold before they reach the consumer.
Very good. I don't see any questions in the chat. Um, at the end of the webinar, I will put a link to your office. And if they have any questions, can they just give you an email?
Oh, yes, definitely do that. And it's on our website also under the Department of Ag Natural Resources. You click on the livestock services drop down box and go to dairy and egg program. And there will also be a link to information and our contacts. But happy to always answer questions and provide the service to our producers.
Well, thank you for the information today, Gary. I am going to continue on with some local laws that we have. I think I missed a step here. Turn the buttons up here. Okay. Oh, Gary, we do have Jean, sorry. Hold on, let me get out of this. And we have a question for you. Can you explain a little bit about the basics of candling and grading does? What the grades are and what matters or how that affects what you can do with the eggs?
Sure. So the process of grading is really to determine the freshness of the egg. So a lot of times if you go to the grocery store, you'll see on your cartons, it will say grade A large eggs. And the grade A relates to the air cell that's in the egg and the size of it. So as eggs are laid, uh, typically they're all going to be grade double A. The air cell is very small. As the egg gets older, the air cell grows, and that's what we're measuring. And again, relating back to the freshness of the egg. So a lot of our producers could easily label their cartons grade double A, meet the requirements, but by the time they reach the consumer, um, similar to the grocery stores, they typically just use grade A to provide that extra um, assurance that by the time the eggs reach the consumers, they'll still meet the grade that's on the carton. So that's what candling grading is, basically determining the freshness. And then the other component of that is also to look at the shell quality to make sure there isn't any little hairline cracks. Uh, it's very visible and obvious if you have a leaker. Of course, those you can't sell. But a lot of times you'll have some hairline cracks. We call those checks. And we allow a certain percent of checks to be put in the cartons. But the concern with that is through transportation and stuff, if there are some hairline cracks or checks, we may end up with leakers by the time they reach the consumer. So that's really the two focuses we have on candling, the freshness and then the shell quality. Uh, some producers will ask, well, what about fertilization or if I have a rooster with the chickens? And typically we don't have any issues with that. When we're candling the egg, we don't see any fertilization because the eggs haven't been incubated and so on. So if you gather the eggs, candle grade them, pack them, refrigerate them, you're not going to see any of that issue with fertilization.
We appreciate the question. Thank you for helping us explain that a little better. All right, let's go to local laws. Okay, getting started with chickens. Here in South Dakota, each community is kind of set up a little different. You have to check your local laws. Roosters are rarely allowed in South Dakota, just because of the noise complaint. People do not like being woken up at the crack of dawn. Many need to purchase a permit. I live in Hot Springs, and every other year I have to purchase a $20 permit at the city office. Cities may limit number of hens. 8 to 12 hens are allowed in Aberdeen, depending on your lot size. Larger lots are allowed 12, smaller lots have 8. 6 hens are allowed in Brandon, Hot Springs, and Sioux Falls. Those were just a couple communities that we're looking at. If you have a specific, you can just Google it. I see, Denny, I see your question, and we'll get to that in just a second. For when you're looking at chickens, after you discover, if you figure out you can purchase chickens for your community. I know in runnings in Rapid City, they always ask you, are you in the Rapid City limits? Because Rapid City currently does not allow chickens. They are working at getting it up for a vote next summer. But currently it's not allowed. Egg purpose is your most common reason. Looking at big producers, each chicken breed has its own number of eggs it averages, and also the color. There's a lot of fun colors out there. We'll talk about that in a minute with eggs. You can look for your higher producers. Meat birds, choose broilers like quick Cornish cross are very popular. Make sure your local laws, if you're in a community in town, allow for meat birds. Here in Hot Springs, we're not allowed to butcher in town, which is understandable. So if you're going to raise meat birds, make sure you have somewhere to process them. Pets or dual purpose, buff or Orpingtons, those are all friendly breeds, so they're all kind of fun. You know? Need to plan your setup. Coops, they need ventilation, predator protection. Even in town, we have raccoons that come through Hot Springs, and I know I was visiting with several other urban farmer chicken producers lately, and they have raccoons, coyotes, all those that roam into town. So you want to make sure they're protected. They need nesting boxes. Nesting boxes is kind of a crazy deal because you need one per 3 to 4 hens. But anybody that's ever been around chickens knows that the chickens are going to pick their favorite nesting box. And that is usually the same. So they usually have a little, they yell at each other and take turns using that certain nesting box. But we need to plan for one for every 3 to 4 hens. And they perch at night, so you need something for them to perch on. Outdoor run, it needs for healthy chickens, they need to be able to stretch and move and enjoy some grass or some outdoor space. Chicks are fun to raise, but you need a heat lamp and a brooder for the first few weeks before you start weaning them off. Some people tend to start pulling the heating light back. Some people shut it off during the day and have it on at night. It matters kind of how much. This is after a couple weeks when they start getting those real feathers on their wings, and they're starting to be able to regulate their own body temperature. Pullets are young hens and they start laying soon, which soon is about 18 weeks for a chicken before it starts laying eggs. So if you're getting chickens now or chicks now, you shouldn't expect eggs until September, August, September. Hens are mature birds that lay eggs. If you're going to buy hens, they're going to cost a little more because someone's already raised them up to that point. They've fed them, they did the heat lights, they've taken care of them, so they have money invested in those. So they're going to cost a little more. Feeding your chicken, chick feed is available at most places. You need to get a layer feed for the hens. Layer feed tends to have the nutrients it needs for chicken, for eggs. All chickens need grit, oyster shell. Oyster shell is important for egg production. Water and clean their water every day. Health Make sure you're always checking on them. Look for any sort of injury, mite slice, clean your coop regularly. Chickens need a little bit of enrichment, dust baths, scratching areas, and they like treats. I give mine a lettuce from the fridge. They're great for taking care of any food scraps or when you clean out the fridge. That's a little soggy lettuce, but the chickens still love it. The egg can start laying around 5 to 6 months old. Average chicken lays 4 to 6 eggs a week, depending on their breed, the season. In the winter, they're not going to lay as many eggs because of the day length. Chickens kind of slow down in egg production. Some people provide lights during the parts of the evening so that stretches out their light exposure and it will keep them laying. Average chicken, you need to plan for this. Average chicken lives about 6 to 7 years. Of course, unless you cull them, they're around for a long time. So they are not just a Easter investment. You need to understand that they're going to be around for a while and you need to care for them. The picture actually is a picture of eggs I got out of my coop this last weekend. I was at a Earth Day fair and I had the eggs there, and it was so fun to see the kids because the kids didn't know eggs didn't always just come in white. So it was fun to see them interact and touch the eggs and kind of see there's some greens, some blues. They just it floored them that the eggs came in different sizes and colors. It was a lot of fun. But some people plan. I know a lot of egg producers that plan for colors. I know people that like them just brown and just white. So just when you're choosing your chicken breed, you can choose what color your egg's going to be, not the exact shade, but if you want a brown laying chicken, just research it and find your brown laying chicken. White laying chickens, if you want those work too. So that is kind of getting started in the egg business. Jean, I see we have a question. What about washing and cleaning? Is it required to sell your eggs?
Well, the requirement is that eggs must be clean in the carton. Does not require that they all have to be washed. So as you gather the eggs, if they are clean, you do not have to wash them. Uh, However, if you do see visible soil and so on, stains, yes, then they're required to be washed. Um, so along with this, sometimes we get asked, well, what I see in the catalog, I can purchase this egg washing soap. Uh, Typically, what we recommend is you can use it, Dawn dish soap, something that you'd use on your pots and pans and dishes, silverware in the house works just as well and so much cheaper. So and then some folks will also use just uh, lukewarm water without soap, and that's fine. Some will use the really fine grit sandpaper, and that's also a way to clean eggs. So there's a number of options for cleaning, but again, it's not required. Only if the egg is needing to be cleaned and remove any soil or stains.
Now, is it true that a washed egg doesn't last as long as an unwashed egg?
That's some of the information I've heard in the past that there is this bloom on egg. Um, I guess I I can't say scientifically that that is proven, but I think most of the eggs that you buy in the store do go through a wash system. It's interesting. In the United States, we require eggs to be refrigerated. In Europe, eggs are out on the end of the aisles, just on a stack. They're not in refrigeration, so I'm not sure if they wash their eggs there and if that's the reason for that. But no, in the United States, they need to be refrigerated. Um, and as far as the bloom, I guess I leave that up to the individual producer, how they view that.
Sounds like a good children's science fair project out
Great.
there. That
Yes.
Do we have any more questions for Jean or myself? I think we've blown them away with chicken knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not seeing any. I would like to thank Jean for your time today. If anybody has any questions, feel free to get a hold of myself or Jean, and we will get
Definitely,
back to you.
yeah, very willing to help out. And it was, I'm glad to be able to join in. And if you ever have questions, please reach out to us.
Yes. Well, thank you, and everybody have a wonderful spring day. It's a beautiful sunny day out there, so I better go clean the chicken coop, I guess. Thank you. Oh, everybody's, we gotta thank you down here, so very